You asked why people would keep voting for this kind of stuff. This is from Zach Sage last month, and it's an amazing video which basically explains why these people keep voting the way they do. Let's roll tape.
Yeah, can I get your signature for support? Sure. Okay, wait, I'm required by law. I just have to read you like 3 of these policies. You're cool to elect a mayor who won't condemn Sharia law.
Yep. I'm asking you. I'm running.
Okay, cool.
I don't know about that. But,
Oh, you don't?
well, what is this?
It's just like a lot of his policy positions and stuff. You have to recognize the DSA's Bill of Rights socialism, so he'd replace the Bill of Rights with... You can read all this. This is out there. You still want to do it or no? Oh, he's going to tax white people higher? It's on his website first.
I just don't think that this is exactly his policies.
You can look all of it up. No, this is literally the first thing on his website about taxing whiter neighborhoods.
This is say whiter.
No, it literally says whiter neighborhoods.
Oh my God. It does.
I don't know what's going on.
Wait, so you voted for him in the primary, but you didn't know about that?
These people should not be allowed to vote. I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't literally say whiter neighborhoods.
This is why they keep voting for it, because they are cognitively impaired and arrogant. We need to stop teaching people that they're beautiful little snowflakes that are the main characters of their own story.
What do I mean?
And we should tell, especially Seamus.
What?
And we should stop telling people that they need to be in charge of everything. It is okay to not be the boss. You can be like, hey man, look, I understand. I'm not an expert on this policy stuff, so I defer to you. People like this is what you get in these urban environments where they're like, no, you must be wrong.
Well, it's women. I mean, if
You're saying repeal the 19th?
If we're being honest. Look, we're never going to repeal the 19th. I mean, I hope that this debate goes poorly, but we're never going to repeal the 19th. It's not worth talking about.
I don't think...
It's women who are voting for this stuff.
Yes, but the issue I see is that you've got greater male variability hypothesis. And so it's... How did... Let me put it like this. How is it possible for women to vote for these things?
Well, they're not responsible for the outcome.
No, but how is it possible for them to literally walk into a polling station and vote for it?
Men protecting them?
What do you mean?
I mean, of course, they're able to vote because men protect their rights.
Because men decided women should vote.
Yeah.
So it's like humans. It's just what humans do. At some point, guys were like, women vote. And now women are voting, and you're like, women shouldn't vote. But it's guys who let them do it. So it's a circular problem. Like, there are stupid men and there are stupid women. And the issue largely, I think, is, let me ask everybody watching at home this question. Did you know that not a single woman has ever won the Chess Open World Championship? So the question is,
because they're dumb.
Why?
I'm just kidding.
Why is there an open division and a women's division?
Oh, women aren't as good at chess.
I think the answer is very simply because there can only be one world champion, but then there is greater male variability hypothesis, meaning there's going to be way more stupid guys, but way more smart guys. And if you've got one slot and 900 men and 20 women, it's going to be a guy.
Yeah, Seamus, you mentioned, I think on PCC, this like idea that, you know, women are cooks and men are chefs.
No, I didn't. You mentioned that.
So it was something that came up in our conversation.
It was something about like men become obsessive about the thing they're interested in.
When it comes to literally any field, any skill, any hobby, the people who are psychotically good at something are men.
Because they obsess. It's true. Men will like obsess over a thing and get really good at it.
This recent TwitchCon, this like Twitch event, they did a bunch of video game tournaments, and I guess there was a women's division, and a dude who thinks he's a woman won.
Oh no.
And it's because, well, first of all, it's because women accept this shit. I mean, they just put a bunch of trans identifying males on the cover of Glamour for Women of the Year.
No, what?
Because women accept this shit. But secondly, it's because men are going to exceed the abilities of women at things like video games and things like chess. Well, Rachel Zegler was one of the winners, but in the UK, it was the Glamour UK cover. J.K. Rowling actually posted about it.
I was surprised.
She said, like, when I was younger, women's magazines told us to be prettier and thinner, and now they're telling us that men are better women than we are. And it's true. And this happens because women are on the editorial teams that make these decisions, and women are the ones buying it off the shelves.
But are you saying women should also not be in the workforce?
Well, this weird thing will also happen with these publications where In the same way that the people who've controlled our media have told us bad stories to reshape our minds, they've tried to groom women through putting things in women's literature that, like, historically women haven't sought out.
This is the history of Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, where they'll put things in it to get women to behave in ways that are not, like, historically typical.
So in Cosmo, they published guest essays under pen names that were completely fictional about casual hookups in order to glamorize the lifestyle of the Cosmo girl, but it was completely made up. And you're absolutely right. Like, women's minds have been hijacked by this stuff.
Yeah. And so I know people say, like, oh, women are buying these magazines. It's like, yes, but what you got to remember is just because there's a demand for something doesn't mean the demand's going to be filled. And this is the case for men's entertainment and women's entertainment, where, like, what is being sold is not necessarily what's demanded. It's the demand that the establishment's willing to fulfill. It's the demand that the people who are creating it are willing to fulfill, and those people have an agenda.
Democracy is a mistake.
That's what I was saying.
I'm on board with that. Yeah.
The founding fathers didn't like democcy either.
That's why
we don't have one.
They wanted a republic.
Universal suffrage was not part of the authorship of the founding fathers.
Yeah, seriously. So I think we need a system of governance. How do we have, like, a meritocratic political system? The challenge is this. You want the best at the job to do the job. But politics is the one place where it's not possible.
Yeah.
You can have somebody like, okay, whoever can run faster and climb higher is going to be the firefighter, I guess. You're strong enough to do it. You can have jobs like race car driver. It's like, well, certainly you're winning and you're not.
Or like cartoonist.
I know.
Go to twistedplots.com. Support it.
Right. But how do you do that for politics? How do you figure out if someone actually is good at running systems? And then here's the other problem. Let's say they are, and they go, we have to cut SNAP benefits for 37 million people, but they'll revolt. But we have to. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm the expert. We have to do it. They're going to be like, okay, they'll chop your head off.
Well, this is exactly why I say almost every night that I'm on the show that we need to hold to the principle of subsidiarity and keep things operating at the most local possible level. Because
monarchy,
when things are federalized, subsidiarity and monarchy aren't the same thing, but you can have a monarchist system that follows subsidiarity. The point, though, is that things that have to be handled at the most local possible level should be handled at the most local possible level. And when you don't do that, you end up with a bloated federal government. And as you mentioned, Tim, it's hard to find people who are competent enough to do these jobs. If someone is competent enough to do all of the things that someone in a role in the federal government should theoretically be able to do, like, they're not going to work for the federal government. They're going to make a lot of money in the private sector. When things are done at the local level, less bandwidth is required from the person in the position, and B, hyper competent people are more willing to give back to their community and the people around them.
Right. I agree, but
you can't select for it at the federal level.
But you can't also run this government without federal level politicians, and it's always going to devolve the way it is.
Yep.
So look, I mentioned this. I did an interview with Senator Rand Paul, and I said to him that there's not going to be any member of Congress, maybe just he and Thomas Massie, who will campaign on, I will cut your benefits. No one will do it. Republicans say, we'll keep your benefits the way they are. We won't touch them. And Democrats say, we'll double them. And that's the only direction you can move. Otherwise, no one will vote for you. And that's what's going to happen until the system explodes. And because this woman is as dumb as a box of rocks, and I feel bad saying that because I'm not trying to insult rocks.
Well, wait a sec. Okay, wait a sec. You can say a lot of stuff. First of all, a lot of stuff. Being a woman voter. A lot of women vote. And they vote correctly. They just don't tell their husbands, because I know I have a lot of friends. But also, I want to talk to you about running up and running down. What happens in California and a lot of other places, especially big city and big Democratic, is you run up the ticket or down the ticket, depending on what the DNC wants you to do or the RNC wants you to do, or in our case, Act Blue. If you run on a ticket, you can pick the ticket. And that's probably what's going to happen in California for the governor's race. And it's also a jungle primary. So this governor's race could change very drastically in the coming months. Most importantly is, you're absolutely right about keeping it tribal in the cities. There's a reason for that. But the biggest problem that we have in California, how goes California goes the rest of the country. The biggest problem that we have in California is we have no economic development. We do not grow our business at all. We have run 6 million people have left. Every single one of them pays taxes.
Yep.
Nobody stayed there that doesn't pay taxes. Without economic development, the only option for a state is to raise taxes. You can't cut benefits because you got to get rid of the people that need those benefits. It's a different problem altogether. You've got to have economic development. And if we don't have it, which we haven't had in California for 3 decades, one of the most interesting things about Mayors Matter is that I have asked if the lieutenant governor of our state has visited any of the mayors that I've interviewed so far, and the answer is no. All of them, no. They don't. 14 didn't know who she was. So at the end of the day, if you don't have economic development in your state, you cannot grow your base. You can only survive by charging higher taxes. And that's what's happening in California.
Yeah.
You have to keep it local. And then you've got to stop the Sacramento, in our case, from reaching down to small communities like Cerritos or wherever and saying, hey, we need you to put more housing in. In California, every bill is named in a way that makes it enticing to people that want something for nothing. Like the mansion tax. Mansion tax isn't mansion tax. It's transfer tax. It's a levy. It's an illegal levy on all classes of real estate. It killed the real estate market $1 trillion in Los Angeles. And we are all suffering from that. And Gavin Newsom is leaving, and he's going to leave our state $500 billion, $500 billion in the hole.
Well, and this is the crazy thing. So if one particular individual has $1 billion or their net worth is $1 billion, people on the left go, no one should have that much money. But then when you have these stupid policies that literally just erase $1 billion from the economy, oh, that's no big deal. Who cares? It's like, whoa. Where's all of our concern about all of the things that could have been done for vulnerable people with that $1 billion? That just vanished once the government wasted it instead of one guy having it. But I want to ask you something, because you mentioned that you worked in real estate development, and my intuition, based on everything I've understood from the news cycles and what I know about California, is that that's an absolute nightmare out there. How do you navigate that? And what do you think could be done to fix that?
Well, when I saw what happened in Hawaii, I thought I'd never seen anything like it. And it's exactly what's happening to us. It's a land grab. Everybody that's in real estate in a big way, including, developers, I don't even want to name names, are buying up distressed, burnt real estate because it's 11 months into it, a couple days. And
we wouldn't mind if you named some names. We can't stop you.
You're going to hear about them really soon. They've passed this thing called SB 79, which is a high density bill. And a high density bill is the equivalent of, if I built a 7-story building right next to your house out there, how would you like that? If I just came in, rolled up and said, hey, I'm going to put a 7-story apartment building right here. They changed the actual zoning.
I would
Let's say do it, fill it with Section 8. I'd love that.
I would like it because it would increase my property value.
You think it would? Okay, so that's a good question. So
depends on the area. But
part of the problem is, like, in New York, I think part of the biggest, some people are going to argue with me, but New York was built on the stock exchange. That's what created New York. New York was the stock exchange. And, $4.7 trillion spinning around the earth, okay? But since COVID, we got $7.8 trillion spinning around outside of the earth that none of us ever touch, okay? And that's where Wall Street lives. It doesn't live in New York anymore. You don't have to show up every day on the floor. You don't have to pull tickets and get on the phone and call everybody. So if the new mayor decides that he wants to give away New York, the majority of the real money in New York they're just visiting New York. Business doesn't happen in New York anymore. It's not the same thing. In California, our Wall Street is our Gold Coast. It's real estate. So it's here. It's not here. So we have to protect it, or we're just going to lose it to the masses, which I don't see happening.
A lot of the real estate burned down, and they're not going to let it be brought back.
That's correct. They're going to turn it into high-density housing.
Yep.
Well, yeah, so I want to ask you about that. I mean, what do you think anything can be done to prevent this? And if you could recommend one policy for California, as someone who actually works in this field, everyone says trust the experts. I think the experts are the people who are actually able to make a living in the field. So as someone who is an expert in the sense that how the market functions well enough to operate in it, if there was one thing that the state of California could do differently to get more houses built, what would that be?
Oh, to get more houses built?
Yeah, to get more houses built.
I was going to say, though, if I could have one policy, it would be voter ID.
Oh, amen.
Okay,
well,
right.
amen, of course. That's a given.
All right. And debris on rail. We wouldn't drive everything on trucks. And we wouldn't change zoning. Okay. Number one thing you cannot do is, it's called ripping the rug. You make an investment in something, and then I come along and I change the zoning.
Yeah.
And if you're changing the zoning, then people aren't going to invest. And when you rip the rug, people won't invest. And that's, by definition, what's wrong with California. We change the rules after you've already made your decision. So we need workforce housing, and nobody wants to call it workforce housing because they don't like the name of it. So why don't we call it, employee accommodations? I don't care what we call it, but if you move a company in there, you've got to give them a place to live. We tried to build a railroad, our high-speed rail.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was a disaster.
Okay, well, would it surprise you to know that probably 25% of the money that was used for high-speed rail went into the brick and mortar structure? The rest of it went to all the people fighting the rail. So you can't, it's bureaucracy cannot build. And if you have a government the size of ours, with that kind of spending, you've already taken the taxpayers. They're paying $6,000-$7,000 a year just to pay salaries for government. Before you do anything else. That's why we don't have enough police. That's why we don't have enough fire. So in real estate, we cannot rip the rug. We cannot rezone things. And also, we have property tax. Property tax is for police and fire. What does it say on your property tax bill here?
It says we are stealing from you.
Okay, so property tax bill.
You got to say no, like you did in Chicago, Tim.
It says right on it. Read it. It says what it's for.
You can't scare me.
It's probably not that terrible here, is it? The property tax.
Property tax.
Is it terrible?
Taxes in West Virginia are really, really bad. Because this was a Democrat state for a long time, and it only recently turned Republican. It has some of the worst tax law in the country.
Well, I'm curious because also I know there was some proposition voted on in the 90s. Last time I was in California, I was actually surprised by. I know the property taxes there seem high, but they're actually low compared to other blue states.
Well, that's because we have this thing called Prop 13, which is this.
That's right.
1%.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like protected by this group. They're called the Howard Jarvis group. They come and protect it, and they're the gatekeepers, I should say. And they've literally fought everything off since 1979. And this mansion tax thing snuck in there. And the mansion tax, like if you have a lot in the Pacific Palisades worth $5 million, you are paying mansion tax on that burned out ash pile.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
That's so heinous.
And also, it affected the real estate market so badly in LA that nobody wants to trade, so the real estate just stopped trading. And that's the same as Wall Street stopping trading.
Yeah.
So the whole thing's affected. And if I were the governor of the state, I would never rezone with people that have invested. It's just not cool. And we do have a housing problem, but what we really have is a homeless problem because we don't have anywhere to put them. And we're too soft on the problem. Like you have to separate people. You have to say, hi, what's your come up to the table. Are you a drug addict? Are you forever homeless? Are you just having a tough time?
Do you think that they let the wildfires happen on purpose?
Well, I definitely think that they that's a good question, and part of me does.
So let me preface that with a couple things. First, there was the claim that they didn't send enough firefighters out in time. There's another claim that firefighters initially, when the fire was put out because it reignited, knew that there was still some embers, and they were instructed to leave and did. I don't know if that's true or not, but those are the rumors I see online.
Okay, so what happened is we've got a pretty big environmental control that was in place about 3 decades ago that says we have to protect brush thistle, which is this weird brush that grows underneath all of the forestry. We also have urban forestry. We have the Santa Monica Conservatory. We have all these groups that manage open space. None of them have any money, so they never clean it. So everywhere around is basically like a tinderbox, right? So a fire starts and it's just impossible. On top of it, we have not maintained our water, and our water structures and our water pumping and all of our reservoirs are all dilapidated. One was closed. The one that we use for the Palisades was closed. This is, again, a problem with just maintaining infrastructure. Again, property tax is for infrastructure, police and fire, and schools. That's what it's for, okay? All of it is a shit show. Can I say that on air?
Yes.
Sorry.
Well, we've already seen
You're out.
It was climate change
Beep.
that caused the fires.
I just said beep. It was
Climate change is gone now.
So now they have. Well, we definitely heated it up there. So now we have the same problem. Where basically they haven't, they're not doing any brush clearance and they're not fixing the water problems. But more importantly, is they found this guy that lit a fire in the Lockman fire. This little fire. It was like 10 acres or something, and they put it out. They called and put it out about 10 days before the real fires, or 7 days before the real fires. They put it out, and the guy went to Florida or left. Now the big thing is, did the city cause it? Did the state cause it? And I don't want to name names and say who did it because I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, what it looks like to me is that if they have an arsonist in the middle of this thing, whether he did or didn't, it removes liability from the state and city. And to me, that's this kid's going to get hung up. I'm sure he lit the fire. I'm sure it was terrible, but they didn't knock it down all the way or it relit.
I think this guy flicked a cigarette or something, and then he searched on his phone. Can I get in trouble for an accidental fire or something?
Yeah.
The implication being he was smoking out at the brush.
And nobody's up there going, oh, yeah, this guy caused these fires. What caused these fires is we didn't have any water. We didn't have, the fire department is paper thin. There's just not enough people. They've made so many cuts. Half the equipment doesn't work. And then you have this massive, crazy brush thing.
I think society's just crumbling.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it lightly. I mean, everywhere I look, society is fractured in some ways. I think this largely has to do with no new young people. We are in it. Every year, we had a consistently large number of 16-year-olds to enter the low-skilled workforce, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, except this time. So Democrats try flooding the country with illegal immigrants, thinking this might solve the problem. Of course, it will not, because all you're doing is bringing in Honduran farmers to try and replace what should have been assistant managers at, in an office or something. It's not going to work. And so now we have all these stories. The latest one of the semi-truck with the naked Chinese guy in it who can't speak English and doesn't know what street signs are, because they're like, we need people. We'll take whatever. It doesn't work that way. And so I think it's crumbling. So there's no firefighters. Yep, no firefighters. We can't even open restaurants out here because they couldn't find staff to work in the kitchens. It's crazy.
I think there's also this really big disconnect with what's happening in the tech industry. I mean, Amazon just laid off, 14,000 people?
30.
Is it? Did they raise it? Yesterday it was 14.
The initial report was that they were going to cut 30,000 jobs. Let's
yesterday it was 14,000, I think. I mean, that's tremendous. Walmart is the largest.
14,000 was confirmed yesterday.
Yeah.
Up to 30,000 potentially.
So all those people, with their little
500,000
STEM degrees and all that stuff, what are they going to do? There's no shop in schools. We need to bring back shop in high schools. I mean, how do you not have shop? How do you not teach people a basic skill set?
Oh, we got to abolish high school.
Okay. Well, first of all, there's this whole thing going on. While I was here, by the way,
High school is the problem.
while I was in DC, I went to this really cool conference at Heritage, and they were talking about removing iPhones or telephones out of schools from K through 12 because of the decline in learning. And it's tremendous if you look at the math on it. And DeSantis in Florida has already started it. And I'm going to propose the initiative in California. I think it's a really great idea.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.